Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Yay! It's the right night too.
Hey,
Everybody's gonna be
well,
so happy.
hold on a second. I just want to okay. Last week was a disaster.
Yeah, a dumpster fire.
Between our two teams, like the Fantasy Football Mojo did not like that we changed up the podcast.
No, it ruined everything for me.
So here we go.
Uh-oh. What do you got?
Well, we got it. Last week I was drinking water.
Oh yeah, the death water stuff.
Yeah, and we recorded on the wrong night. I was drinking water. We recorded on the wrong night. I'm just trying to set everything back the way it was.
A day late, $1 short. Maybe more than $1.
So Dave, here is to getting back to winning ways. I love it. All right, there we go. Get everything back to normal again.
Yeah.
So, we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
We're at the halfway point. 7 games in, 7 games to go. Nobody fully eliminated from contention.
The one person that could have been beat you.
Yeah. So
back in it.
Yeah. So everybody's alive, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And man, we're so glad everybody's watching.
Click those hearts and give us some flowers.
Yeah,
we have our stuff. We have our Venmo on the screen in case you want to send us money.
Yeah, all the stuff, all the
Mountain
things.
Dews.
So without any further ado, Dave, I'm going to let you. I haven't even made. Have you been keeping track of like who you've been giving the Miller Time
No.
Team of the Week to? Everything here has been a little bit more helter skelter this season, but our views are up, so that's a good thing. So
I feel like it's been going to the same people because the same people are doing the most big wins, you know?
Yeah.
But this week, I think this might be a first.
All right.
Pretty sure this is a first.
All right. Miller Time Team of the Week.
I don't think I've ever actually given it to a team that lost.
Okay.
But I'm sick of all the teams winning, getting it, you know, the same people. Like, I can't give it to Brian. I mean, I give it to Brian every week, you know?
Yeah.
He's had 3 high point wins. Like, you know, so I don't, and he won again, but I'm giving it to Adam. Adam had the second highest score out of all of us, even though he lost going into the Monday night. I thought he was a shoo-in. Like that whole match between the two of them, I thought, you know, oh, well, there's no way that, you know, Brian could catch, you know, and then, oh, there's no way Adam can lose. Oh, there's no way Adam can win. Oh, now there's no way Adam can lose. So he goes in, and it really wasn't his defense. He only needed like 6 points from his defense. And it wasn't their fault. It was the Patriot offense that kept giving the ball to Chicago in the wrong end of the field. And they kept getting a bunch of cheap points.
Because really,
he
was getting the sacks he needed.
Sacks and an interception.
Yeah.
So that was plenty of points. But then when I think you even posted, he scored 30. You know, if they could score 30, but I didn't think they would need to score 30, but they kept getting the ball at the end. So I think Adam finished with 108.9, which would have beat everybody except for Brian. Yeah. So it's, you know, but it was a big win or a big loss, I guess, a loss but a win. Now I'm confused. But he didn't win, but he came off of a 60-point week the week before. He proves with a 108, you know, barely losing to Brian, the high point winner, that he's in the top, you know, solidifying himself in the top 6 for sure.
Yeah. Well, he passed me in points because I was above him in points. And so even though he lost some ground, he gained some ground.
Yeah, because a loss there with another 60 score, and you think, Adam's falling apart. But I feel like he's got running back choices now. You know, most of his guys are healthy, and he's, you know, I think, you know, and he's Adam. He finds ways. So Miller Time Team of the Week. I don't know. Do you ever remember me giving it to somebody that lost?
No, never. This is the first time. This is kind of like. First, I don't know how I feel about it because, like, it'd be like in the NBA Finals, they always talk about like, what if the player that gets the Finals MVP comes from like the losing team, and I'm like, how MVP could you have been if like you didn't win? But I understand your perspective.
Well, and I feel like his loss was more beneficial than like Junior beat Travis,
Yeah.
and Lee beat me, which was kind of, not much. I was in the bottom. Rennie beat Ed. Like, I guess I could have given it to Josh again, but I didn't want to. Could have given it to Danny, I guess, his one shot, but you know.
Well, we will give Danny a shout out though. Danny, great job. And here was my thing was like going into Monday Night Football, I was like, man, I really hope that Montgomery actually does something, because if I ended up losing by like 6 or 8, you know what I mean? With the running back scores that I had and just with everything, I was like, I'll be even more angry that like all I had to do was score 80 and I win. So now that he scored at least 91, I feel like that's more respectable for Danny. He came close to scoring 100. He gets his first win. And his team actually, across the board, he had a couple guys that could have even done better, or plugged some other guys in and would have even scored more. So Danny,
I just feel like that's his first win. It could end up being meaningless if he only wins one more week.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that was last year. That was my season. I ended up like 2-12, and none of it mattered. We'll see if Danny, this is a turnaround or if that was an anomaly. So that leads us to our next award, which is the Hillbilly of the Week. And Dave, I don't know if you know this or not, but when you score under 60, you automatically get it.
So did Ed.
Ed's had it before.
Okay.
It's named after him.
No, I after the week I had with McCaffrey getting traded, not knowing whether he'd play, it was just
so tell me just for a second, what happened with James Robinson?
So that's a mystery. Like
he just got no carries?
He got no carries. He had one target. He had a carry for like 7 yards that got negated by a penalty.
Yeah.
And so that ended up getting off the books. And then he had one target. I think that they had made I don't know. I thought at worst he would get 5 or 6 carries, and maybe, but it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, you see how much I got beat by.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered
at
all.
But it's just you usually don't see a guy get a running back get a 0 in a game that they played in.
Yeah. He just did. Yeah, he didn't really play much. The other guys taking over. And I guess all along I was like, I wanted to plug. Like, problem is my other 2 running backs were both on bye, and they weren't people I wanted to get rid of. So I was like, but I didn't know if McCaffrey was even going to play. So I didn't want to get rid of Robinson and pick up some other running back only to have McCaffrey not play. And I just was stuck, and I didn't know,
Can I ask you?
There was nobody in the free agency that would have made a difference.
Do you know that the New York Giants are really good at football this year?
Yeah, they are pretty good.
I just wonder, like, you ran up Jacksonville against them, but I mean, I guess the Giants are the scariest team in the world.
I had 49ers versus Kansas City. I picked. I just so I went into the waiver wire defenses and.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was like, it was a guess, and I guessed wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing went right.
And so are you nervous about Lamar?
I'm not liking the trend of handing the ball to Gus Edwards.
And well, it just seems that he's had more down weeks than early on they were talking, MVP again, and then it just seems like he's had Baltimore as a team I just can't figure out.
He ran a lot weeks 2 and 3 when he scored in the 40s, and he kind of got away from that some. And look who he's throwing. I mean, it's either Mark Edwards or Edwards. It's either Edwards or guys that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I'm sorry to give it to you, Dave.
No, I deserve it.
I'm an honorable mention. As an honorable mention, like all of us, lots of teams tanking for no reason because there's no benefit in it.
No, I did not mean to tank. No, it was a bad week, but
Yeah, and we blame it all on recording on the wrong day. We're going to turn this thing around.
Yeah, just everything went wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was my match with Lee. But Lee, to his credit, he scored 105. He would have beat most everybody else, except for, the high point matchup.
Yeah.
So he's rattled off 5 straight wins. That's the longest streak in the league right now. So I mean, Lee's getting it done.
Yeah. So
you want to
let's
move on and cover which ones haven't we covered here from last week?
Yeah. So we can go through the scores real quick. I think we've hit on a lot of them. Danny won. Rennie big over Ed.
Yeah.
Bounce back game for Rennie.
Yeah, he's really not. He's pretty close to Junior in points. I mean, between him and Brian and Junior, they're all pretty close.
We're very top heavy. Yeah. So we've got Josh ekes out one over.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah, over Brennan. You talked about Adam's bad beat. Yeah, we talked about your stinker, and then and then Junior made easy work out of Travis. So does Nope. Ed holds the longest losing streak with 5 in a row.
Yeah.
So we got Lee with 5 wins in a row, and Ed with 5 losses in a row, and maybe too little, too late for Ed and Danny. They may not be able to salvage their season. So
I mean, but if you look at the standings, it's games wise, it's not.
It's not. I'm just saying neither one of them would be just Danny did get a win, but like Ed is trending in a bad direction.
Yeah,
I will give it to him that he has been filling out full lineups.
Yeah.
But when you score, I mean, you did it. So when you score in the 50s, then
you're not gonna win.
Yeah. So real quick, so that was the matchups, and so that led to not a ton changed in the power rankings. I mean, they're pretty good. Now, you're always talking about this, so like again, this is a combination. Dave submits his, I submit mine. They're separate. I combine them. They if we end up with a tie with the system that I'm using, then the tie goes to the team that has the most points.
Were we close this time?
Well, we were off by quite a bit. I don't have my notebook where I got the things, but I think I had Rennie second, and you had him ranked 4th.
I had Brian second.
Yeah. So and Brian has the most points, and because I had Brian, I think 3rd, then he jumped. Yeah. So we've got so the power rankings, and that's why Brian is the cover photo of the power rankings. I don't know if anybody noticed that. That's our good friend Brian Heim with his little kid's guitar, Bengals t-shirt, and Bengals hat on. So we've got Off All Weekends still at number 1. Like you said, Rennie's catching them on points, but
he would, he's not gonna, even if he wins. And even if they win, like Junior wins or loses and Rennie wins, he's 100 points behind him.
Yeah.
So it's going to take 2 weeks. To get past him.
So Junior's in the driver's seat. We got Brian coming in at 2nd. Man, he is. I mean, we've always known that he was really, really good, but now he's starting to raise up in the rankings as well, not just in the power rankings, but also in the standings. So so Brian is doing well. We've got Rennie at 3rd, who's doing great. We got Lee, who's the hottest team in the league, 5 straight wins. He's at number 4, and which is, I mean, here's the thing we got to remember about Lee. He's got 5 wins in a row. You'd be like, well, he's only at 4th. He was at 12th 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
So he's been climbing up this entire time. We got Adam at 5th. We got myself at 6th. We got you at 7th. We got Josh at 8th. Brennan at 9th, and Travis Vote Flex at 10. So the big change happened is that Josh 2 weeks ago wasn't in the top 10.
Yeah.
Now he's in the power rankings. He's in 8th place in the power
Yeah.
rankings, and Travis continues his free fall.
And he's only behind me like by 30 some points, which he can make up in a week if I have another bad week like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of the power rankings, and so that leads to as we were kind of talking about the power rankings. We're in the midway point of our season, and so I had sent you some questions. I kind of sent them out to everybody, and so Rennie and Junior were the only ones that were kind of playing along at home.
They jumped the gun
Adam
a little
will
bit.
Submit some. Maybe Adam will turn some in. We'll see. He's a fan of the show and likes to play along. Maybe Brennan, I don't know. So 2022 halfway so far. What's the biggest surprise you've had in a good way so far this season?
A lot of things to pick from, but I went with the fact that Brian was able to get the number 1 running back with the 23rd pick.
Okay.
In Chubb.
All right.
We all had, 22 picks before that. Like what you're trying to do, most people
so
every
basically
year,
everybody passed on him twice.
Yeah, like you're trying to get, if you're going to pick a running back, you kind of want him to be it'd be great to get the number 1. And we all had, right. And we pretty much through the first round, we were like, oh, well, none of those guys are going to, they're gone. So now there's no chance of getting the number 1 guy. But Here he was with a 23rd pick. He grabs the number 1. And that just kind of shows how strong his team is when his first round pick is good, his third round pick is good, his fourth round pick is good. So that's my biggest surprise.
And Chubb's been real interesting because we've been talking about this all season long. He's on a team with another great running back. We were like, is this going to last? Is that sustainable?
And Cleveland hasn't really been scoring. Like they're not. Yeah, they haven't been winning.
Cleveland's a terrible team.
Yeah,
they have 2 really good running backs on their team, and he's still heads above anybody else.
Yeah.
So super interesting to do that whole.
That was my good surprise, I guess.
Yep. All right. So question number 2, halfway point, biggest disappointment.
I'm doubling down. What's been my theme week after week after week?
What's been your theme?
Brennan's team. Who was I right? Because
because you had such high hopes for him.
And here's the reason. You get the first pick in the draft, which means you get the 3 of the top 25 players. You get your choice of the 3 of the top 25 players. So that's right there. You sort of have a perceived advantage. And I felt like his draft was,
Can you tell me who he picked with those 3 picks? Taylor. Who he picked with the next 2? Do you know?
Fournette, maybe? No, I don't remember.
No, okay. I just didn't know if you knew.
Like probably that would have been a good thing to.
I just wondered how those 3 guys have kind of like.
Oh, like what? Yeah, that's. I don't know if there's an easy way to see that on.
Not on the mobile. I can pull it. You keep talking about it, and I'll pull it up on the thing.
So. Yeah, he's got 2 wins.
Yeah.
And I get, and I felt like he had, I felt like Taylor and Fournette were gonna turn things around. I felt like he had decent receivers, and I felt because I thought Michael Thomas would be back earlier than he really hasn't been. He started off with, I think, Hollywood Brown, who's now hurt, but he was, switched teams and was good. And I thought Russell Wilson would be at worst serviceable.
Yeah. So just to recap, his first 3 picks, that's pick number 1, pick number 24, and pick number 25. Do I got that right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, and Mike Evans.
Okay. Yeah. And Evans has been fine, but he hasn't had like difference maker weeks, I
mean,
guess. At least not enough. But
Taylor's missed half the season, right?
And now they're switching quarterbacks, so they pretty much punted on the year.
Their team's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and they're not going to score, and so yeah, I had high hopes for Brennan, and I kept doubling down. The 1 week that you did a bet, it actually paid off for me.
Yeah.
But that outside of that week, he's been awful.
Yeah.
So darn you, Brennan, you're my biggest disappointment.
Okay. So and maybe this is obvious. Maybe this is easy. It'll be interesting to see what you say, just because you've already kind of talked about, like, your first question was kind of about the draft. But so who had the best draft?
Yeah, I did kind of allude that. I mean, I looked up and down. I was trying to find somebody besides Brian.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, you look, he's still starting every week his top 6 picks.
Yeah.
How many of us have done that?
Right.
You look at Junior's had, Junior's in the first, but he's flip-flopped. He's picked people up. He's had some great pickups.
Yeah.
And he's had, some defense and tight end big points that got him stuff.
Yeah, he's playing that kid he played that kid from Seattle, right? That's brand new.
Yeah, like, but if you look at Brian, he's like 1 through 6, and they've all been like, I mean, it's one thing to have, Chubb but Barkley's been a revelation.
Well, and he took a chance on him, right? He took a flyer on him. But then he also has does he have Clyde Elaire?
No, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think so. Like his,
and he had a good first 3 weeks,
Yeah, but he's got at least 3 running backs that I mean, coming from somebody who has no running backs. Clyde Elaire, who still is the number 11 ranked running back.
Yeah, so he's not. That
but
still
he hasn't needed. But he hasn't needed
a good draft pick, and look at his 1, 2, 3, 4, his 6th pick, Gabe Davis, which I don't even know if everybody even knew who he was, but he's on Buffalo. And he's been a dynamo,
Right.
And he's been just plugged in every week, and he's been, and then his draft is only getting stronger now because Murray's been fine, but he hasn't been like putting up, Josh Allen numbers. But now he gets Hopkins back last week.
So look at the jump that's happened. We were talking about 3 weeks ago. Jamar Chase was 20 something in running and wide receivers. He's jumped all the way to number 2.
Yeah.
And we were talking just a week ago, he would have been down towards the bottom when you were redrafting, and you were like, well, he'd be I don't remember what he was, maybe number 11, number 10. If we did that whole exercise again this week, he would have jumped up so much because he's been on fire.
Yeah. You have to go all the way down to Russell Gage, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th round before you're like, Russell Gage, he hasn't done much. Everybody else, even Patterson, was great at the beginning, and he might even come back. When your first 10 picks hit, you're going to do pretty good.
He's projected to score 107 points this week. What? You know what I mean?
So I looked around. The only person I even thought dabbled with was Lee, just because, he picked a bunch of rookie running backs, and a lot of them have hit.
And I would say that Lee would be more likely if Hall wasn't on IR, you'd say, okay, man, maybe he's a clear second, or he's right there knocking on Brian's door.
And Lee drafted the Seattle guy that Junior's now got, but he dropped him because, the first couple of weeks he wasn't the starter until Penny got hurt.
Yeah.
So, so Lee had a lot of good picks, but up and down the lineup.
It's Brian, funny, I keep thinking that maybe that was going to happen with, is it Chase Edmonds from Miami? I ended up having to drop him, and he was just terrible, but he stayed terrible. So it hasn't, it's like, is this kid going to do anything ever? And they're like, no, probably not. So,
So yeah. So I mean, I don't. I mean, if you can find another one of us
no,
that has had a better draft than Brian up and down, like you got to go all the way to the 11th pick before you got a guy that's like, he hasn't done much.
yeah.
I got a lot of guys that haven't done much.
We're just talking about Brian. He's come up twice now in the rundown. Obviously, he's got a special team. He's won high points 3 times, right? He's all said and done. Week 14. Is Brian the league champion?
The only reason I hesitate is because, man, he finds ways to lose when he shouldn't.
I don't think he's finding ways to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still scoring 100 and something points when he loses. It's just like he ends up with some bad luck.
Yeah, I was thinking he would be the one that Brennan pointed out that he has the most points against.
Yeah.
You would think Brian would be up there, and he probably is, but maybe not. Well, yeah, he's in the 700, so he's up there. Not quite as high, but yeah, he's.
Here's the thing. I do think that Brian will challenge. I don't know if I see Junior losing enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like Brian has to keep winning, but also Junior would have to lose. And it's just like Junior, like as much as we like to tease him and stuff like that, like his team's not built to lose games.
Remember, it used to be normal for Junior to lose.
Like,
past years?
It would be such a Junior thing to do, to squander this halfway point, But
yeah.
I'll give
this
him
is halfway. Whatever
is.
happened these first 7 weeks, the opposite could happen the next 7.
It
Very
could.
likely.
But I mean, if you just look at his lineup, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the teams that are in the top 4 right now that we keep talking about: Junior, Rennie, Lee, Brian. You know what I mean? Like, do you see any of those 4 guys just like falling off a cliff?
Yeah, they all 4 would have to kind of tumble a little bit for Brian to pass all 4 of them.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I definitely think that we could end up. Brian is going to be top 2 or 3 when this whole thing's all said and done. I just don't know
it's pretty safe to say that you and I aren't challenging for the number 1 spot for the regular season.
No. Well, that. We're in that relevant but not scary.
We're trying to make the playoffs.
We're fighting for 8. That's us. All right. Okay, so best late round draft pick, 8th round or after.
Yeah, this was tough. I go with, because who I think it'll be a few weeks from now.
Okay.
We've already talked about him, but who I think based on the first 7 has produced is Ramondre Stevenson. He was an 8th round pick, and he's a bona fide starter running back for Lee. But I think he's gonna get passed up here by also Lee's pick of Kenneth Walker in the 9th round, who's now on Junior's team, who I think Junior's going to ride week after week after week to 15 plus points every week.
So we don't have this in a category, but like I don't think we do. But like, so you're predicting that Junior's probably made one of the best like waiver wire pickups.
Sure, yeah. If you ask that question, I'd say right now it's sure looking like that.
Yeah.
The only other possible, and he's only played 1 week because of suspension, but Hopkins coming back, he was an 8th round pick, and
who has him?
Brian.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
So, and that's only gonna enhance Kyler Murray, and I think Hopkins these next 7 weeks could be a top 5 wide receiver, and that's a pretty good 8th round pick.
Yep. All right. So, sometimes like, fantasy football is an interesting thing because we can talk all about Brian's team. He scores all the points in the world. You know what I mean? But sometimes teams win even though they're not winning high points every week. Like we've had teams win championships without ever winning a high point. So of everybody who's playing so far, who do you think's done the most with the least?
Was that a question?
Yeah.
Did I miss that one? Oh, yeah. No, I think I thought about that. I'll go back and let me read you Junior's draft. Like his first his like first several picks or whatever.
Okay.
Let's see, where's he at? Where's he at? Dang it. Off all weekend. Where are you at?
You want me to pull it up?
There he is. All right. So you got Mixon, Deebo Samuel, who Mixon's been spotty. The run game, Deebo Samuel's he's had a couple good weeks. Cam Akers, kind of a bust. Then you got Josh Allen, obviously good. Devontae Smith, who's been hit or miss. He's had some good weeks and some bad weeks. Alan Lazard, who's playing for a horrible team, Green Bay. Antonio Gibson, who's not even a starter anymore. Chris Olave, who's a rookie wide receiver for New Orleans, who's been, TJ Hawkinson, who's a tight end. He had one big giant week for Junior. A kicker, a defense, a running back, James Cook. Like, how's that? Like, nobody sticks out. It's not like when you read Brian's, it's like Brian should be in first place.
Yeah, you're like,
but you read this, and it's like, other than Josh Allen, none of these guys have been winning weeks, week after week after week. They've all had one big week, and maybe that's all. He's had good pickups, I guess. He's had big weeks out of people, surprises that he aren't even on his team anymore, and now he picked up somebody else, and that person did good. So somehow he's gotten all these wins, but it's not. I don't think it's because of his draft, because none of these, nobody has just been week after week after week great, except for Josh Allen, and maybe that's all it takes.
So, and I guess like. So I sent these out, and Junior had said that like he didn't have access to the draft, so he kept reposting it without all the questions on it. So I hope you're using all the same questions that I got. But and you did the late round one, so I think you are.
I went back to your. No, I see it right here. I went back to your text, but I just totally missed that one. I thought about it when you first sent it, and the first person that came to my mind was Junior, because I'm like. Because I remember looking at his draft.
If you looked at his draft, you wouldn't be wowed by it.
No.
And we talked about last week, like that, like Mixon probably not a first round pick if we redraft.
No, I mean not compared to some of the other,
No.
When we did it just a week ago, he was at 12. The
bottom. yeah, and we had to pick him.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean. He's done, as far as the way your question is worded, I feel like Junior's done the most with the least based on the draft.
Yep. And it's not to say that his team is least. It's just that, like, there's nobody that just like jumps off the page to you other than Josh Allen. And here's the thing that about, and this doesn't happen every season, but there's some times where it was like, a few years ago, probably 3 years ago, Patrick Mahomes was just like, electric, right?
Yeah.
And Josh Allen's having kind of that. I mean, if you're going to score 40 plus points a week, like, I mean, you scored 50 something points. You know what I mean? Like that's a difference maker.
Most of the rest of the 11 teams are getting in the 20s out of their quarterbacks at best.
Yes.
With a couple surprises here and there, but chances are he's facing somebody that's going to score 19 or 20, and that's a 20-point difference.
Yeah. I mean, and then you couple that with like a Hawkinson 30-point tight end score, and it's like
a defense that gets 20, and
Yeah. So okay, so one of the questions on there is who's made the best moves?
I think those kind of go hand in hand.
Okay.
I mean,
So you mentioned Junior's his pickup of is it Walker?
Yeah. Kenneth Walker. So that was a big one. Honestly, I think I missed that one too.
No, you're fine.
I don't have anybody else I mean, I don't know that. I mean, there probably a few people here and there that have.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you knew of somebody who picked somebody up off the waivers that's now an everyday starter. That's just like how people let that guy go, or who was it that you mentioned that Adam dropped somebody a couple weeks ago
and ended up being good.
Yeah, who was that?
would have to be somebody he drafted, right?
Well, I mean, it was somebody that was on his team. He dropped him, and somebody plugged him in, and it was like they had a big week. And I just remembered that. And anytime I can bring up a mistake Adam made, it's like it's fun to do. So,
yeah, it's not sticking out on me. It might have been somebody he picked up and then drops again because it's not. I don't think it's anybody he's drafted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
No, yeah,
really,
that's what I said. You said he picked him up, didn't play him, dropped him, and somebody picked him up and used him. And he's like, yeah, he did good. So, but Junior's been making all the right moves, and he's made a lot of moves too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so, yeah. All right. So let me just because this question deals with top 8. Okay. So this is somebody who's in the top 8 who won't remain in the top 8. And so let me just give we talk a lot about power rankings. So let me give the standings real quick for everybody.
Okay.
Off all weekend, double check. Okay. Show me your TDs. Time Industries, Red Kingdom, the Smithereens, Rat Trappers, Joe Burr. So that's the 8. So here's the hard thing. Because we've been Travis has been the name we've been using for a long time. Well, he's the 9th, okay? Midway part, he's not in the top 8 right now. So if you had to pick a team that's in the top 8 right now that won't remain in the top 8 by the time the season's over, who you kicking out?
Well, I deliberately did not go with myself.
Okay.
Because I want to root for myself.
Because you don't want. You're not going to like my answer. You don't want to throw that out into the universe.
You're not going to like my answer because I'm picking you, only because I have to pick somebody, but only because you just faced 3 teams in a row that were in the bottom, and your schedule changes, and because now you got Rennie, and then you get Brennan, who will be. He's in the bottom, but then you got Adam and then me, which hopefully I'm not in the bottom by then in 3 weeks. But you had a stretch there where you played 3 straight people that were the bottom 6. That would have been your chance to jump up, and your schedule's different. So I had to pick somebody.
And I did jump up a little bit outside of losing to Danny. I needed to take advantage of that week. And I didn't. Like I said, that's a letdown.
But I don't know who takes the spot. That's the problem.
Yeah. So if you, the question was right. Okay. So the reverse one is the same question. Somebody who's not in the top 8. Do you see? Now you have a fanboy. I mean, you're a fanboy. Are you gonna go out and say that this is gonna happen?
I have his name written right here. I don't know if you're able to see it. It says Brennan.
All right. So do you have any confidence that Geno Smith and Jonathan Taylor and Leonard Fournette and Mike Evans are going to jump up into the top 8 by the time the season's over?
Less when Indy made their move, but I still feel like the talent's there, and it's a decent team. And he faces Danny, then you, then me, 3 in a row. He can win all 3 of those,
Hey, easy. I'm right here.
He can.
I'm sitting
then he's
right
got
here.
Junior, Brian, so he's got to make this work. He's got to beat at least 2 of the next 3, because then he faces Brian and Junior, and he'll probably lose both of those before he faces Ed and Rennie. So he's got to take advantage of the next 3 weeks if he's going to make this happen.
Okay. So we're talking about we're at the halfway point, and now the critical point really is going to be the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I sort of pick him too, because Ed and Danny have a tough road with their points and their losses, and Travis has just been spiraling. Yeah. Although I think Travis has got a good team. I don't get why he keeps losing. You look at his lineup, and they're good.
Now, and we say all this, Dave, and I'll put you on the spot because this isn't the question, but if you were a Rennie betting man, would you say here at the top 8 or here at the halfway point, these are 8 playoff teams?
No, just because it never works out that way. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Because of all the wins and losses that have to happen for all this same 8 to stay right where they're at.
All right. So you
the
are
odds
confident.
aren't real good. And I think
we may not know.
Somebody's going to drop.
Okay.
Somebody's going to have a bad stretch of weeks, and somebody down below that's not named Ed or Danny is going to have a good, set of weeks. Maybe they will. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, here, if I can recommend somebody, I would say let's have it be Adam. Okay, just.
Yeah. Well,
I will say, like, of those 3, me, you, and Adam, like, we've looked bad week after week, or you know what I mean. But man, Adam put up 108 points, and the rest of us didn't. So like he showed that he's capable of it.
Yeah.
Where like I got 2 wins out of it, but 3 weeks in a row I'm under 100, under 90 maybe, and so that's.
You're 4-3. That's a lot better.
I'll take being 4-3, but we know, I mean, you can't drop below 500 and expect to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like 500 is, I mean, if in 500 it's dangerous. Like if you're 500 and you don't have the points, like there's a chance you won't make the playoffs. So I would say that 8-6 is the target if you want to be sure you're in the playoffs, especially this season with so much parity going on. And then if you're going to be 7-7 at the end of the season, you better not be low on points. That's my thing is I'm seeing. So for Brennan, the thing that makes it tough for him, even more so than Travis, is that he's got to get 3 wins before he's even at 500.
Yeah, and that
3 more wins before he's even at a place where he feels like that he's in contention for top 8.
But he doesn't have to do both. Like Travis has to do both because Brennan's already
score points and
Brennan's already got as many points as a playoff team as Josh.
Yeah. But he's a game behind.
And he's close. He's only 15 points away from you.
Yeah.
In points.
But he's a game behind.
Yeah.
He's a game behind you, who sits in 8th place, and he's 2 games behind me. So he's just got some ground to make up. Now we got 7 games, so anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
Anything can happen. But that's a lot of work to do for some of these teams. So okay, so that gives us the tiers. That leads into like the final thing that we talked about.
Yeah. This was hard.
So chance to win the league championship.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I think is harder than, I mean, we talk about, winning the tournament at the end and stuff like that. That's how we crown the champion.
3 hot weeks and you can win the tournament.
Yeah. Like 7 win teams, 8 win teams, they win the championship all the time. This season specifically, because we got a lot of somebody's not just running off with it. What do you think? Who's the tier of like these teams have a chance for the championship? Are they our top 4 teams?
I put, and I keep saying this, even though he's got 2 less wins than Junior. But I have Junior, Brian, and Adam as 3 with a shot.
All right, so you're taking the hottest team, 5 straight wins. You're taking Lee out of it.
I did.
Well, and is there a reason?
No.
You don't think he's sustainable?
Well, I mean, I feel like if he, that's a lot of wins in a row. And if he gets 2 losses in a row and Brian keeps winning, Brian will pass him because he's got more points.
Yep.
And Junior is going to have to lose a couple in a row before he's out of the top 2, and And Adams just came off the second highest points of the week. And if anybody can make a run, it's Adam.
You know who's pissed at you right now?
Rennie?
Oh yeah. So pissed. So mad. And everybody's wondering why a 4-3 Adam team that up until last week hasn't been able to score any points, you would think has a chance to win the league championship.
What did he post? They both put their list, didn't they? I can't remember what. He probably put himself in the top 3, didn't he?
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah. I don't know. You have to go back.
Oh, he had 14. He had Junior, Brian, Lee, Rennie. So he went with 4 teams.
Yeah. Okay. So would you? Does that mean? Because like, I kind of wrote these. So in the relevant but not scary.
See, I didn't like that word scary because I still feel like Rennie and Lee are scary, but I just had them in that category. So if you want to say not scary because I don't, but I don't.
Well, I think I meant
they scare me because they're going to be
scary in the sense that like you're not worried about them winning the championship.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I am, but not as much as the other 3.
Okay. And so with Adam, you give him the nod simply because of track record?
Well, and coming off this week, and he has Mahomes, who for the next 7 weeks could do what Josh Allen just did.
Yeah.
And carry the next 7, not this week because he's on bye, but from week 9 to 14, he could score enough points, and Adams got plenty of good running backs, and he's been picking decent wide receivers. I think he's got having Mahomes is just like having Josh Allen. All right. Could be.
Okay, so who's in your relevant but not scary category?
Just Rennie and Lee.
Rennie and Lee. Okay, and then fighting for 8
is me, you, Josh, and Brennan.
Okay, so you're taking the flyer on Brennan. He's and then better luck next year. I know the 3 teams. You've got Travis, you've got Ed, and you've got Danny.
Yeah.
All right.
And and Travis has enough wins where he could keep himself. Yeah. But he's just been losing.
Yeah. Well, I know the feeling.
So, and caveat to all this is, most likely I'm dead wrong on all this.
Yeah. Well. All right. So thanks for that, Dave. Halfway through the season, Nothing's over. Everybody's really got a chance. These are just Dave's opinions, and he's just a talking head on a podcast that nobody watches. So exactly. What's he know? All right. So, but matchups matter in this whole thing, and I don't know that you necessarily considered all that, like who plays who in the next 7 weeks and kind of how that's going to go.
Totally,
probably didn't dive in that deep, but here we are, week 8.
Yeah.
First matchup we want to talk about, Lee versus Junior.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing could flip upside down if Lee gets a win.
Yeah.
I mean, you just put him not in.
I did, and if Junior, and I think if Junior wins, then it
solidifies himself. Yeah, okay. So solidifies himself. If Junior wins this week, man, it's going to be tough for anybody to knock him out because he's going to have to score a lot, and he's going to get the W. He's going to continue to drive distance between him and everybody else.
People that could catch him are the other people that aren't playing him.
But if somehow show me your TDs comes up and
just all weekend long, just
all weekend long,
just
lays waste
all weekend
long. Yeah. Then this whole top thing gets flipped upside down.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna need to find more photos of Lee for the power rankings. So huge, and we've got Junior's got Josh Allen back.
Yeah.
Right now,
it's definitely a quarterback advantage because Carr's been,
Yeah.
That's not why Lee's been winning, is because of quarterback. But he hasn't been losing because of quarterback either.
But I will say this. Buffalo plays Green Bay, and Green Bay, while has sucked this season, their defense has been pretty good. Okay, that hasn't been terrible. I played their defense a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Somebody played their defense this past week. The defense has been pretty solid.
Yeah.
So Josh Allen, but yeah.
And you got to think they're going to try to run the ball with Jones and take time off the clock and.
Yeah. And I say that David Carr plays New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, if David Carr was going to have a coming out party, it would be against the Saints. So
I feel like the running backs are pretty even there. Nobody has a super big advantage. But
so what happens here? What if every Josh Allen touchdown is just a Stephon Diggs touchdown?
That evens things out.
Yeah. And maybe CeeDee Lamb gets going.
I mean, the problem with Lee's team is he's got Dak throwing to Lamb. He's got Russell Wilson throwing to Sutton. He's got Garoppolo throwing to Kittle.
Hey, let Dak and let Russ cook. Okay?
Russ is doing knee touches and airplanes apparently.
Yes. I will. The tight ends look even. Kittle and Hawkinson, any one of those guys can go off any given week. And Junior gets the nod for Tucker. But I'd much rather have Tennessee defense going against Houston than I would Tampa Bay going against Baltimore.
Yeah.
So we've spent a lot of time on that one, but that's got to be the premier matchup of the week.
I think it sort of sets the tone for who's, whether Junior's going to be really tough to catch or whether Lee's going to put himself in position to.
And then Brian, on the other hand, gets to face up against VoteFlex, who has been silent in the chat for, I don't know, a month at least, and who I give a 0% chance to win this week. 0.
I mean, if you just look at half, don't look at Brian's side and just look Prescott, years past, he's pretty good. Dalvin Cook, pretty good. Aaron Jones, pretty good. A.J. Brown, really good wide receiver. Metcalf, really good. Chris Goddard.
I thought Metcalf was hurt.
Well, he's got a question. He's got a Q next to his.
Okay.
They don't show it on the app.
He's projected to score 10 points. I thought he was going to be out. Was he out last week?
I think he's a game. I don't think it's been decided yet, but
okay.
But yeah, Bengals defense has been good, but when you just look at that, I don't know why he's not scoring the points.
Yeah.
But then you go to the other side and you're like, how does Brian not score 120 when you got Murray, who is only getting better now that Hopkins is back, and now Hopkins is in his lineup, Chase, Waddle, Barkley, Chubb.
I mean, if you looked at Brian's team for the first 7 weeks, the weakest part of his game, the only thing that you could look at, it'd be like, man, he could get better quarterback play.
But he will now.
Yeah, he will now. But I'm just saying, going back, he's done all of this with really no huge quarterback games.
And he could probably go find a tight end that might have a better chance of scoring than Hurst, because I don't think Burrow likes throwing touchdown passes to tight ends anymore. But
yeah, you can't like your matchup with Josh.
No, no, I don't. No, I don't like it one bit.
You have the running back advantage, and on paper, you might feel like that your quarterback can keep up, but
he just hasn't been. He can,
but
he's, when you look at who they're throwing to, when you got Chase, Higgins, and Boyd and Mixon, and Jackson has DuVernay, Bateman, and a good tight end.
Yeah.
Jackson's going to have to run. He's going to have to break away for a 60-yard, touchdown a couple times.
And you sure would like to see another 40-point Taysom Hill.
I still like Waller, but he always has a question mark next to his name, and I never know if he's going to play the whole week, the whole game. So I got it.
Can I tell you right now, Dave? This is just to let you know, Darren Waller sucks. Okay.
Yeah, apparently he does.
I don't know if you know this or not.
I'm gonna write myself a note next draft at the tavern on my forehead. Do not draft Waller.
Oh my goodness. I mean, just when I'm just like, oh, could somebody please beat Adam? He's lost 2 in a row. I'd love for him to lose again. What's he do? He plays Ed. So,
but if Ed, I mean, it's deceiving because if you look at his lineup right now, he hasn't put in Kupp, he hasn't put in Hurts, he hasn't put in God or Knox. Yeah. He hasn't put in Buffalo defense. If that's a lot of points that are on his bench, once they get in there, and I don't know who Adam picks up to start at quarterback. If he picks up somebody that scores 20, then I think, Adam's got the advantage. If he picks up somebody that scores 5, then that hurts him.
Ed, I know you don't watch this, but if you were to watch this, please put Cooper Kupp back in your lineup, okay? He's off.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes. Please
and
go
Dawson
back.
Knox.
I'll
Those
send
guys
him
are good players.
I'll send him a text tomorrow. Ed, adjust your lineup. It's Adam week.
But, I mean, for Adam, Kamara, Mostert have been good. McLaurin's heating up. Kirk Pickens got a touchdown last week for Pittsburgh, which is the only touchdown they've scored in all season, I think. But, so, yeah, I mean, Adam has the pieces, and he has the, it's even without a quarterback right now because Ed doesn't have all his guys in.
Yep. And then we get Danny versus Brennan. So you said it. Brennan's got to take advantage. But Danny has proven that he can score, in the 90s. So he's got to fill out a lineup. If you're listening, Danny, fill out your lineup, okay? You got lots of guys on your team that are slated to score lots of points. So,
like, as an aside, all right, nobody listen to this part. Do we want Brennan to win? Because if Danny wins, it probably gives us a little better chance of keeping our playoff spot.
No, I'm rooting for Danny. I just said, Danny, fill out your lineup.
All right, back on the video.
Yeah.
Whoever wins.
If I happen to send a text message to Ed and to Danny tomorrow, I'm just checking in on friends.
Yeah.
And then I play just the ugliest, nastiest, meanest guy that's in our league. Somebody who I wouldn't be friends with if he was the last person on earth. That's discount double check Rennie Kittle. Can't stand that dude.
What a jerk.
Yeah, hate him.
We love Rennie.
Oh, yeah. It's hard not to like him.
I don't know what he's all worried about picking up a tight end. I mean, most people are only getting 5 points out of their tight ends anyway if they're not named Kelsey.
Yeah. I mean, hey, how'd my wide receiver Corey Davis go from just scoring 0 points because he's that bad to being projected to score 0 points because he's that bad?
That's not looking good, is it?
No, well, I'm trying to pick up another one, but it is what it is.
You probably still have a higher wide receiver projection than a lot of us with only 2 spots.
Well, like if once we get past the buys, if you just took Jefferson, Hill, and Schuster, are those the 3 best starting wide receivers? Like, would that be the best 3 starting wide receivers in our league?
Schuster probably knocks it down a little bit, but the other 2.
Well, he's ranked 19th. I mean, the other 2 guys are ranked.
Yeah, I get, especially when there's only a few that I think any given week can go for 25. Your 2, Chase, and maybe Adams.
And Diggs.
Diggs, I guess, yeah. So maybe 4.
Yeah,
4 or so. And you have 2 of them.
Schuster's had 17 and like, what is he? 18 and 17 the last 2 weeks. Now the beginning of the season, he was like sub 10 for the first 5 weeks of the season. Then he kind of popped off the last 2 weeks, which shot him up a little bit. I mean, it obviously.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I can't think of 3 more that.
Well, we had done that exercise where I didn't get a chance to do the wide receivers, so maybe sometime I will.
Okay.
So I did the midway point, like went through and ranked like how many running back points everybody got, how many quarterback points everybody got. So
Of what they started or what their whole team is?
what they started.
Okay.
What they started. So so Brian had 245 running back points. That was number 1, but Rennie was right behind him with 232 running back points, and then it jumped all the way down. So you were talking Brennan, number 3 in running back points at 168. And you will never believe this. Who do you think's number 4?
At running back points?
Running back points. You wouldn't believe the top 5 if I told you.
I wouldn't.
Top 5 running back points are Brian and Rennie. We said they're in the category they're in. They got 200 plus. Okay. Then we got Brennan. What place is he in? 10th.
And all we've done is dogged his running backs.
Okay. 168 running back points so far this season.
Really?
Okay. 4th place, Danny. 165 running back points
because
season.
Of Eckler. That's been the only points he's scored.
Hey, and then 5th place. Right behind him, Travis, 162 points. Junior
Cook's had a lot of good weeks. And those were his only points.
Yeah. So Junior doesn't come in till 6th. Lee, who we've been talking about so much, doesn't come in until like 8th. So
getting zeros doesn't help you with that, does it?
No, it does not. I'm dead last, and I was. Nobody seemed interested. I was throwing out like all the stats and stuff like that. I averaged 6 points, 6.5 points per running back start. Nobody really cared. But in comparison, Brian was getting almost 12 points per running back start.
So are you? I don't see. The thing is, you always think, oh well, maybe I'll trade, but then the only way you can trade is to have something. So you have to give up something to get something.
Yeah.
So do you want to
I could trade a wide receiver to try to get a running back, right?
You could.
But
then you're hurting your wide receiver. If you had a 4th wide receiver that was as good as Schuster, then you could maybe give up one of those other guys. But you don't. And you have a bunch of running backs that nobody wants.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like with my team, like there were guys that I thought about picking up. Okay, so like I had read that, and this podcast is going to go super long. This is going to be the longest one of the season. We don't even.
We're almost done.
It's a midway point. Okay, so and we end up talking about our teams a lot more because like those are the teams we have. But going into the matchup with Danny, so. I work on Sundays, right? I'm preaching, I'm doing everything, I'm driving home, I'm reading as much as I can because I don't get home till like 12:45 right before games start. And so I'm reading some stuff, and who do I have? I got that kid Kenyon Drake on my team, and and I have the other one who's on IR, Dobbins, who's obviously out, right? So I'm like, oh well. Kenyon Drake got all the touches last week. He scored he had 100+ yards, scored touchdowns. So I was looking at him. But then they said, is it
Gus Edwards?
Gus Edwards. They were
he was getting all the first team.
Well, no, reps. They said he was coming off the pub, and then I didn't read far enough to see that he got all like in warm-ups that he got all the snaps and stuff. But I was like, I contemplated like, do I swap those guys out?
Yeah.
Okay. Just looking. And then another thing, so then I also looked at because I had that Corey Davis who had done okay. You know what I mean? Like he had caught some balls and stuff. New York was doing, the Jets have been playing okay. And so he had done like serviceable in the last couple weeks. But I also looked at it's probably like Indy's like number 3 wide receiver. I was like, oh, that guy's did pretty good last week and he's still available. I could pick him up. And then also Hardman was on there, and he had done pretty good. Now, you usually don't want to start two guys from the same team, but unless they're Buffalo or Kansas City. Those are the only two times you would consider that.
Yeah.
So I considered.
I would start Chase and Higgins if I had both of them.
Yeah. So I had considered picking up a few guys, and then ultimately just like probably I'm playing Danny. I'll roll with this team. They've done okay before. And I just didn't make any moves. And part of it is because it's like it's 11, I'm driving. Yeah. And then it's like I don't get home until like 12:50, and I'm not really. And so I just like, just roll with it. Well, every guy that I looked at and thought about picking up, and legit, like I thought I was great. Like, did great. Like the kid from Indy scored a touchdown. Hardman scores 3 freaking touchdowns. Even though Schuster got 17 points, like Hardman still got
a lot of points to be had there.
Yeah. And then obviously the kid from Baltimore that not my guy, he did that crap. The other guy from Baltimore, he gets all the snaps, he gets all the yards. So it's like sometimes that's just how it goes. You know what I mean?
I thought real quick, I thought the same thing I was trying to figure out what I was going to do about McCaffrey, and Travis jumped on Dante Foreman, but I looked at both of those guys, like Foreman and Hubbard, but I'm like, really? Are they going to be difference makers on a bad Carolina team? I'm like, so I didn't pick up either one. And it turns out Junior picked up Hubbard, didn't start him. And Hubbard's the one that got the touchdown and more yards. But neither one of them would have helped me this week.
Well, and like for me, I didn't need guys to go off for 30. I just need to not get 0 points out of 2 running backs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So then if you pick up somebody and they get 0 and your guy that you had gets 5 and that's all you needed, then you feel like an idiot.
Yeah. So like I just needed positive points. You know what I mean? So like the fact that out of 3 positions I got nothing, that really sunk me. So, but I feel better about this week going in against Rennie. We'll see what happens. We know that Hill and Jeffries can go off, and we'll Jefferson and Hill can go off.
Yeah, you definitely have the wide receiver because Denver's passing game's been bad. I don't know if St. Brown got hurt last week. He left with a concussion, so I don't know what his status is. Yeah. But Detroit's really dropped off anyway, and he's got 2 Detroit guys in his lineup right now.
Yeah. And I feel better about my running backs. I mean, hopefully Connor plays. But like I said, if he doesn't play, he does just as good as both of my running backs did last week. So not really, doesn't even matter. That Algier, like I picked him up and didn't play him. Like he would have been, like I should have played him and I didn't. So, but if he, like, I don't need my running backs to be Ezekiel Elliott. It'd be nice if they were, but I just, with the wide receivers I have, but, and we'll see. This is going to be Tua's coming out party playing against Detroit. So,
yeah. Well, sweet.
Yeah, that is our mid-season rundown. That's a ton of stuff. Man, this thing says we've been on here for an hour and 13 minutes. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. YouTube's going to charge us extra for all this extra content we put out there. So,
but hey, it's a new second half of the season. We're both still in the hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. So Danny went 1-6 and Junior went 6-1. You're telling me that Junior could go 1-6 the next 7 games and Danny could go 6-1?
It could happen.
I'd love to see it. That'd be awesome.
Side bet.
Side bet. And be nothing better than seeing Junior go 1-6 from here on out.
Yeah.
That'd be
we
fun.
Better end this thing.
All right, Dave. Great to see you. Have fun fumigating tomorrow.
Yep.
And I'll catch you later.
See ya. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.